Well, greetings and welcome to Unity Tempe. For those who are joining us later online, we are so glad that you are watching on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, Unity of Tempe, we really encourage you to do that. Like, leave comments, let us know how we're doing. And we really encourage you, if you're watching online, to come check us out. And we'd love to see you in person. So, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And today's message on this last Sunday of May is how's your mental health? Now, I've given messages on mental health in May before, but this year with so much going on, it fell off my radar. Then last week I received this t-shirt as a belated birthday gift. And on the front it says, let's say it together, "You are enough." And on the back it says, let's read this together. "Dear person behind me, the world is a better place with you in it. Love the person in front of you." Yes. Love the person in front of you. And so I pinned stars on this to remind us that we are all important, valued stars of light. And I want to thank Josh for the gift, which gave me the inspiration for today's message. And if you notice up here on our altar area, we have new decorations, I don't know what you call it, but we've got blessed, and if you can see that little thing below it, it reminded me that we're all points of light. We're all points of light here, sharing. So anyways, but now for a moment, I'd like you to imagine a garden. And it doesn't have to be a perfect garden. In fact, it shouldn't be a perfect garden. It's a garden perhaps like your garden. And some days, the soil is rich and the sun is gentle. We're in Arizona if you're watching online and wondering why we're laughing. And everything seems to grow with ease for those couple of months. Other days, well, the sun is fierce and plants droop in the Arizona sun and nothing seems to thrive no matter how much water you give it. Then there are times when storms roll in, or in our case, summer monsoons, and weeds pop up overnight, threatening to engulf everything. Mental health is a lot like a garden. Like our spiritual and physical health, it needs tending, and sometimes it needs a little help from others so that it can flourish again. Now, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but I'm pretty sure each of us have had seasons in our lives when our inner garden felt overgrown, underwatered, or where it just struggled to bloom. Times when life felt heavy and the soil of your spirit perhaps felt parched. Stress, grief, anxiety, depression, trauma, they aren't signs that something is wrong with us. They're signs that we're human, living real lives in a real world that can be both beautiful and overwhelming. And so this Mental Health Awareness Month may seem like something that's only recently gotten attention, but actually it has very deep roots. It goes back to the early 1900s when a man named Clifford Beers, who was a graduate of Yale, endured horrific treatment in psychiatric institutions for his depression and paranoia. And he decided that things had to change. And his advocacy eventually led to the creation of Mental Health America, the group that launched Mental Health Awareness Month. Anyone have an idea what year Mental Health Awareness Month was launched? Give me a guess. Anyone? Earlier, 1949. Yeah. So over the decades, it's evolved from focusing on institutional reform to reducing stigma, community-based care, and conversations about trauma, suicide prevention, veterans care, LGBTQIA+ mental health, and access to services. Now, mental health is really close to both Ron's and my heart. And some of you know that Ron's mother, who passed during COVID, she had adult onset schizophrenia. And my birth mom, who passed last year, and I was raised not by my birth mom, but by my grandmother, she had also schizophrenia. And one of my half-siblings had a mental illness, and she eventually died from that, or from complications related to that. So these experiences make this very real, this topic very real. And they remind us that mental health challenges aren't out there somewhere, that they're in our families, they're in our communities, and they're in our neighborhoods. So the current landscape of mental health in 2026, it is under real strain. 1 in 5 adults experiences some sort of mental illness each year. 1 in 20 lives with a serious mental illness. 1 in 7 kids and teens have mental health challenges. And the second leading cause of death in young people, aged 10 to 24, is suicide. And transgender people are 9 times more likely than others to attempt that at some point in their lives. Nearly half of all veterans need mental health support each year, yet many aren't connected to VA services, or they've had their services cut or eliminated. And cuts to Medicaid and community programs mean fewer therapists, fewer crisis beds, fewer places to turn. And families stretched thin are trying to navigate a system that is shrinking when the need is growing. LGBTQIA+ individuals, especially transgender youth, people of color, veterans, and those living in poverty are ones most impacted. And as I said, these aren't people out there somewhere. They're our neighbors. They're people in our families. They're our co-workers, our family members, like I said, and sometimes they're even us. And I know this is really heavy stuff, and it is why our spiritual grounding matters. Unity doesn't ask us to ignore heavy topics and heavy stuff. It asks us to remember that we are more than whatever we are going through, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and mentally. And that the spirit within doesn't disappear when life gets overwhelming, that we are all an expression of the one presence and the one power. And I'd like us to say this together. Even when our mental health feels shaky, our spiritual identity remains whole. So true. So from that place, we can support ourselves and others with compassion. Now, Unity teaches that wholeness is our true nature, and this is not just a state that we achieve when everything is going well, but wholeness is the spiritual truth of who we are. And let's say this together. Mental health challenges don't diminish our let me start again. Together. Health challenges don't diminish our divinity. They don't make us less spiritual or less worthy. They are experiences along the journey, not definitions of our identity. So I want you to think for a minute of a river. Now, sometimes that river flows really smoothly, and sometimes rocks and debris block the way. And sometimes the water level drops precariously. But the river is still a river. Its essence hasn't changed. And in that same way, our essence and the essence of others remains intact even when the mind is struggling. The divine doesn't step away from us in those moments. Spirit actually moves closer if we allow it. Now, in Unity, we believe that thoughts are powerful, right? Right? Yes. And I love the verse from 2 Timothy, which says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of a sound mind." It's a great verse. And I really want you to hear this. Having a mental health challenge does not mean that you thought wrong. That is not how this works. Mental health is complex. It's biological, it's emotional, it's environmental, it's spiritual, and it's all woven together. Unity's metaphysics are meant to support healing, not shame ourselves or others for hurting, ever. This is really, really important. We are spiritual beings having human experiences, and mental health is just one of those human experiences. Our spiritual practices, prayer, meditation, affirmation, community are a way we remember our spiritual identity while we navigate human reality. When we pray, we're not pretending everything is fine. We're connecting with the source that supports us in the messiness of life when things are not fine. When we affirm, we're not denying our feelings. We're affirming the truth beneath the feelings. When we meditate, we're not escaping life. We're creating space for clarity and inner peace. And when we meet together, as we do each Sunday, we're reminded that healing doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in connection, in being seen, heard, and loved without judgment. And Unity invites us to see the Christ in ourselves and others, including those who are anxious and depressed, grieving, overwhelmed, or in crisis, including those who don't feel like getting out of the bed in the morning, including those who don't feel like themselves, including those who feel lost. And sometimes that's us. I have a personal story many years ago now. Yes, many of you know I'm a member of a 12-step program. I was going through a rough time. I was going through a very rough time. I couldn't find anything joyful in my life at all. I was just depressed. I'm not diagnosed depressed, but I was depressed at that time. I just couldn't seem to get out of bed. And I remember that time I had a sponsor. In 12-step programs, you have a sponsor. And Ron was kind of at his wit's end a little bit. And he called the sponsor and said, "I don't know what to do. Mitzi's really going through a rough time." There was some reasons behind it, but it was pretty intense. And I remember my sponsor called me, and she said, she lived far away from me, still in Arizona, but she said, "Okay, I will come over there right now. I'm coming over right now, and you will get out of bed. I'll put you in the shower, and we're going to get you walking." And that was all it took, knowing that someone other than my husband was that willing to accept me just as I was in that moment and love me enough to come over, drive a really long way, and be there for me. And so after that, you know what? I got up, I got showered, and I went for a walk. And it changed everything, just knowing someone was there. So how do we support ourselves and others spiritually in the face of mental health challenges? It's not just in a think positive way. It's in a practical, honest way. So the first thing I want you to know, and everyone should take a picture of this if you don't know this number by heart, it is to know the crisis number. This is the crisis hotline number. Every single person should have this and know it by heart. And that is 988. And that is a number that you can call, you can text, you can chat at any point for yourself or give it to others. I have handed that number out. The second thing is to grounding ourselves in prayer and meditation. Now, these help, both of them help quiet that monkey mind that goes on. They don't erase our thoughts, but they gently loosen the grip of the ones that tangle us. And it's like tending a garden. Prayer and meditation clear the inner clutter so that new clarity, peace, and growth can take root. Affirmations are seeds we plant in the soil of our consciousness. They don't magically fix everything, but they shift the inner climate so healing can blossom. Community support. Spiritual community is a place of belonging. When we share our struggles without shame and without being shamed, we break isolation and we provide an environment for healing. Very important. Compassion is practice. Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself, and that includes loving ourselves enough to seek help when we need it. It includes checking on others, not in a fixing kind of way, but just in a listening way, just in a being there way. Advocacy and action. Spirituality is not passive. It calls us to action. It calls us to support policies that expand mental health services, to stand up for Medicaid and ensure inclusive care for veterans and LGBTQ plus people. It calls us to educate ourselves about stigma and speak openly so others feel safe to do the same. It calls us to show up for someone who's struggling. It calls us to ask, how are you really doing? Because we're very good at saying, I'm fine. How are you really doing? And then pause long enough to hear the answer. Begin the day with spirit instead of news. Now, I don't know about you, when I start my day with headlines, especially right now, I feel it in my body. I feel it all over me. Who else does? You're like, oh, seriously? We feel the heaviness. We feel a sense of helplessness. Even though we know we're powerful, we feel like, seriously? So most days, Ron and I begin our day with walking. And I do a walking meditation. And we often go to a nearby park. And yes, sometimes a beloved friend greets us with the latest diabolical update. But now, I have found a solution. I get out my phone and I read today's daily word. And I invite us to say the affirmation. And it shifts the entire energy. And it shifts me. I know we talked about this one before. Limit doom scrolling. Where are my doom scrollers? Come on now. I know you're out there. Not because you don't care, but because you can't pour from an empty cup or advocate for justice if you're spiritually depleted. Let someone in. Tell one trusted person, I'm having a hard time. And that single act can be life-saving. It can be life-saving for you, and it can also be life-saving for them because they get to support you and just listen and be there. Mental health often begins with small choices, the ones that help us remember who we are. And that brings me to a word that's in the song I've chosen to anchor this message, and that word is brave. Being brave doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means telling the truth about how you're doing. It means asking for help before you hit breaking point. It means checking on someone even when you're not sure what to say. Say this with me. Being brave means trusting Spirit is with you in the dark, not just the light. Christ within us is our strength, our courage, our resilience. And if you're struggling, let someone know. If you're hurting, reach out because you are enough. You are needed. You are loved. And the world is a better place with you in it.
It was a secret everyday darkness takes a hold of you, dragging you under, blocking out the truth. If you feel like falling, you can hold on. If you think you're only getting weaker, you can still be strong. If you're feeling hopeless, you can have faith. If you think you've lost the will to fight and you're so afraid, you can still be brave. You can still be brave. One of life's mysteries happens all the time. Why do the good hearts suffer in their minds? Maybe they teach us what we need to know. Walking through hell's fire, letting heaven show. If you feel like falling, you can hold on. If you think you're only getting weaker, you can still be strong. If you're feeling hopeless, you can have faith. If you think you've lost the will to fight and you're so afraid, you can still be brave. You can do whatever it takes. Maybe you're just one step away. You can still be brave. Don't let go of all that you are. You've already come so far. If you feel like falling, hold on. If you're feeling hopeless, and if you feel like falling, you can hold on. If you think you're only getting weaker, you can still be strong. If you're feeling hopeless, you can have faith. If you think you've lost the will to fight and you're so afraid, you can still be brave. You can still be brave.
Such an important topic, and I'm so glad that I got to share this message. And thank you again, Josh, for the reminder, because it would have slipped by without me doing this. And it's a really very important topic. Our spiritual, our mental, our emotional, our physical health, all tied in together. Let us say together, I am a beloved child of God, here to be an ambassador of good. Yes, we are indeed. And so we're going to have a special message now from our board president.
Good morning, everybody. We just want to give you an update on our finances. The last time we shared this with you, it was for January and February. So here's March and April's total income, total expense, and then our net income. And as you can see in March, we were a little shy of meeting the monthly expenses. And then in April, we had an incredibly beautiful, generous gift given to us, and we are very appreciative of that, very much so. Plus, we had a wonderful Easter, so April definitely gave us quite the boost there, and we wanted to share that with you. Also, we wanted to let you know that we, as Unity of Tempe, we tithe 10% of our gross amount that we receive each month, And so far in 2026, these are the places that we have tithed to: Unity Worldwide, Unity Southwest Region, A New Leaf, ICNA, Lost Our Home Pet Rescue, and the Anthony Bates Foundation. And I wanted to share with you, if I could, one of the thank you letters that we've gotten. We get almost everybody that we tithe to, we do hear back from them, and they are truly appreciative. But this one is from Unity World Headquarters. So give me a minute here to share this with you. Dear friends, on behalf of the Office of Philanthropy, I want to thank you for your generous spirit, which shines through your support of the Unity mission. Your faith and partnership touch countless lives with hope, prayer, and the assurance of the presence and power of God in every moment. As an expression of our love and gratitude, we will be holding you in prayer on May 20th, 2026. Throughout the day, we will affirm that you are actively expressing divine love, wisdom, and abundance, and know that you are guided and blessed in every way. Your name will be placed in the Silent Unity Prayer Vigil Chapel for 30 days of continuous prayer, where you will be enfolded in the consciousness of peace and light that permeates this sacred space. They enclosed a little poem, and I'm going to read that in just a second. But I also wanted to, I just want to end it here with thank you once again for sharing in the Unity mission of prayer, love, and service. We are deeply grateful for your trust, your generosity, and the radiant light you are in our Unity family. And that is from the Vice President of Philanthropy, Terrell Petrie. And they sent us this lovely poem on this really lovely paper. And I'll hang it up in the back there so you can all look at it. It'll be on our bulletin board back there. But this is called Listen, Beloved. Do you hear me? I am speaking to you, not in words, but in your inmost heart, in the silence of your soul. I am the Christ in you, the beloved of the Father in you. Do you hear me? I am speaking to you now. I am speaking of you, of infinite possibilities that are before you, of wonderful powers that are within you. I am speaking to you of mysteries of the Spirit, of everlasting love, of unending eternal life. I am speaking to you of inner reality and an outer realization. I am speaking to you of greatness and goodness, of dreams fulfilled, of prayers answered, of appreciation of things present, of anticipation of the things to come. Listen, beloved. And that was written by Martha Smock. So, again, on behalf of the board and everyone, thank you always for your incredible generosity to our community here at Unity. And it is time for us to share our tithes and offerings. So join me in saying, I am a joyful sharer of my good. I remember that as I give, I receive, and that God is my source. And if you'd like to do Zelle or PayPal, here's the code here. Good. Thank you. Thank you for guiding us, for leading us, for treasuring us, and for reminding us that we are all one. We are here together in this community, and we are sharing love. We are sharing your love. We are sharing light. We are sharing goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, kindness. And we thank you for the many ways that you call upon us to serve and to give and to be loved. Thank you. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.
And thank you so much. Lovely, wonderful update. And so just want to remind you of our prayer Zoom on Thursdays. Amazing time of connection together. And let us affirm together our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is It is well with my soul, and I am grateful. Yes, beloveds, and thank you online. If you choose to give as well, we really do appreciate that. May your week be filled with an inner awareness of the divine in a more exuberant and peace and exuberant and calm at the same time. I think it's possible. So whatever is your need for this week, beloveds.